Hi, and thanks for joining us. As any CyberOps team will tell you, thousands of potential attacks are hitting your network every day, and it's more difficult than ever to keep up. So today we want to talk about automation and how automating a number of security functions, including threat verification and resolution, can start to level the playing field. Automation not only deals with the mismatch between attack volumes and their resolution, it also delivers three fundamental operational benefits to the CyberOps team. Systematic and repeatable and measurable processes, the elimination of randomness caused by human factors, and the reduction of operational risk to increase the confidence of outcomes. Because right now, the time at risk from when a cyber attack occurs to the time it's resolved is way too long. A recent Ponemon study found that the average time from infection to detection is 170 days. Once detected, it takes organisations a further 82 days to resolve. So the time at risk, on average, is over 8 months. Even a fraction of that is an unacceptable exposure. At the same time, the business of cybersecurity attacks is an industry in itself. You can buy exploits, get 24/7 support, and even buy attacks as a service. We're facing an operational model that's outstripping Analyst's ability to defend. Huntsman's automation technology detects and manages threats. It also bridges the critical interface between threat management and its implications for business operations. Crucially, we've developed stakeholder cybersecurity reporting and dashboards so that the CyberOps teams can better articulate the true nature of threats facing any business. So let's take a look at the challenges, the technology, and how Huntsman automation has transformed our clients' businesses and reduced their time at risk.
When an attack happens, the quantity and quality of information available to the defender makes a huge difference to the response. Analysts need to quickly process information to decide if something is a real threat or a benign false positive. But in the early stages of an attack, information is scarce. Analysts may not know how a threat has broken through their defenses, how the data's been exfiltrated, or even what information has actually been accessed. So there is a knowledge deficit. Those initial few minutes, when relevant information can be captured, is often not yet visible to the analyst. Yet, it is when information must be gathered and acted upon. So let's define what good looks like. For most, the ideal security state is a dashboard or status display with lots of green indicators, showing that the security controls in place are providing effective deterrence or that we have good detective controls. The reality is there are always things the operation team needs to deal with. The volume of alerts for investigation can quickly become overwhelming, and there's a temptation to deal with this by tuning out things that have already happened as just background noise. But that's a risky strategy. The possibility that important early signs of an attack in progress will be missed. The NIST Incident Response Lifecycle is a widely recognized example of the phases involved. Of course, adequate preparation can bolster defenses and lay down controls to save considerable effort further down the track. When an incident happens, we then move through a cycle of detection and actions resulting from any discoveries made, such as containment. Post-incident learnings can be leveraged to improve and streamline the management process. By addressing the delay between detection and response, activity alerts can be qualified more accurately. Supporting information can be assembled quickly and responses executed in a fraction of the time currently achievable. We can dramatically reduce the time at risk.
So let's look at how automated threat verification fits into the solution. This is a very powerful technique and an integral part of our technology. An automated solution that matches machine-generated output with machine-led verification and response. This capability reaches far beyond simply having automatic reporting and dashboards. It empowers the user to take a course of action on the basis of a decision using all available data. Whilst the product enables analysts to examine alerts with associated information already gathered from relevant sources, what is key to the strength of this product is its ability to provide relevant answers to questions from the whole of the business. The benefits of this are twofold. Firstly, it provides the intelligence needed to quickly rule out false positives. By doing this, the queue of alerts is reduced by up to 90%, and we focus on the ones that actually matter. Secondly, with automation delivering all available information in a unified case file, the investigator can quickly identify whether an attack has been successful. Did the malware detonate? Is it spreading to other hosts? Has the data been exfiltrated? And if so, where has it gone? So let's now look at how Huntsman Analyst Portal fits into an incident response process.
Right now, a threat gets isolated using malware sandbox solutions. The sandbox takes a copy of the content and executes it within a virtual environment to see what the file does and records any malicious activity. The process can take several minutes, and in the meantime, the malware has reached the client and may, or may not, have been blocked by its endpoint security software. Once the sandbox has finished analyzing the file, it sends the malware alert to a SOC analyst who will review it before manually locating the client and inspecting it for indicators of compromise. This could take hours, days, or weeks, depending on operational workflows. In the meantime, the malware may be spreading across the network and infecting other clients. Huntsman Analyst Portal overcomes this delay by taking the alert from the sandbox engine and simultaneously performing a number of actions. It remotely inspects the target endpoint for indicators of compromise, such as within the registry keys, files, or processes. It queries event logs from network sources such as firewalls, proxies, and DNS servers to look for any communications to potential command and control servers identified by the malware sandbox. It brings all this information together, analyzes it, and presents it in a clear and easily understood display. By drawing together those various threats and strands from across the network, the analyst can clearly see the compromised assets. If not, it can be quickly marked as benign. If found, the analyst can raise an incident that includes all of the indicators. This streamlined process slashes the time to threat resolution.
A significant enhancement would be to automate the processes within the resolution phase. How can we speed up and automate the actions that are taken next? We must ensure that if the security system automates a response, the action taken is not more dangerous or damaging than the activity it is attempting to counteract or constrain. For safe automation, a few things need to be in place. We need to know the nature of the initial alert. We need to know the context of the threat and the corroborating data. We also need to be aware of the business impact of any proposed actions. The impact of a back-office user being locked out is likely to be less damaging than that of a system service account or a senior executive in the middle of a critical presentation.
So once the Huntsman Analyst Portal has verified a threat is real, what responses can it take? Any action can be automated or manual, all the time under the watchful eye of an analyst. From a safe automation perspective, if any outbound communications from malware to its command control service occurs, the Analyst Portal can instruct boundary firewalls to immediately block that communication. Alternatively, using advanced integration with Cisco PX Grid architecture, it can disconnect the infected host from the network or even have it quarantined to a separate VLAN. From here, it can then access remediation servers, download the latest antivirus updates and security patches from corporate servers. If that malicious activity relates to a user, the Analyst Portal can find those compromised credentials very quickly, disable that user account across the network, and restrict the user's access to sensitive data to limit exposure. Or if a threat has been located in the virtual server, the Analyst Portal can suspend the compromised server before bringing up a known saved copy of that VM in its place. Security Operation Analysts can then identify any threats of significance and take rapid action to resolve them, automatically or manually, safely and quickly. So let's look at a couple of case studies. A team at a major Australian government department deals with a large number of security alerts every day. Monitoring a new wireless network for 5,000 users across 100 access points was the latest challenge to land in their laps. Huntsman gave them the ability to identify, verify, and manage the threats from this new system. The customer already had a busy network with a wide range of systems and devices to monitor, and Huntsman was converging this information into easy-to-understand chunks, allowing a handful of analysts to accomplish what would otherwise take a team 10 times their size. The new Cisco wireless network project was to be highly integrated with the customer's existing systems. As Huntsman supported the Cisco PX Grid architecture, the customer was able to use this facility to bridge into the Cisco ICE connection, and Huntsman linked user identity to network activity in near real time, providing clear visibility of user actions and reducing the overhead of tracing key information. Within 36 hours of the software going into production, an alert was triggered in Huntsman identifying that a user's laptop on the wireless guest network had downloaded a malicious file through observation of the web proxy logs. Based on the configured policy, Huntsman looked up the user's identification in ICE and proactively placed the device into a quarantine zone by triggering network isolation in the Cisco fabric. In parallel, Huntsman collected the suspicious binary file and passed it through to a sandboxed analysis engine to detonate the file and examine the instructions it executed. This was followed by Huntsman performing automated host analysis, which gathered detail on the endpoint's running processes, file systems, and registry state, all of which was passed back to the Huntsman server and stored into a case file ready for inspection by a security analyst. Review of the files showed that Huntsman's proactive network isolation of the victim's device had paid off. The detonated malware had attempted to scan the network and replicate its payload using a recent vulnerability in the Windows file sharing service. By quarantining the device and proactively gathering all pertinent information, the security analyst was freed up to focus on resolving the problem and communicating with stakeholders rather than being bogged down with manually collecting and validating data. The department's security director was quoted as saying, "I am blown away by what we can see. We never would have been able to identify and deal with this sort of security issue before. The level of visibility and insight it gives us is far beyond any other capability we have had. The team is really focused now on investigating identified threats such as this one and building more proactive, robust processes." This is an excellent example of how Huntsman permits small specialist teams to achieve great results, even in the face of large, busy networks and the security events they generate.
Now let's look at a customer who has been alerted to an unusually high volume of network traffic using Huntsman's behavioral anomaly detection engine.
In our second example, the profiling of domain name system traffic has resulted in an alert which has drawn attention to abnormal flows of data. The initial alert identified a change in the ratio of inbound versus outbound DNS traffic from an internal host to an external network. The analyst has been able to drill down into the network event data which shows the session link to these two hosts and the volumes of data which have been exchanged. From here, the analyst can explore associated data relating to this threat, which has already been automatically gathered and made available for further inspection. The analyst has then inspected associated DNS resolution responses in the run-up to the alert and identified a series of name resolution failures. A piece of malware has been attempting to communicate with an external command and control host using algorithmically generated domain names and is now able to communicate with a host which matches the current domain. The analyst then automates placing the malicious domain into a local threat intelligence database, so Huntsman will immediately alert upon any further activity against this domain. Finally, they can collect contextual data, including geo-IP enrichment, which associates the threat with a location. Automation has simply removed the drudge work of data collection and attribute linking, and lets the analyst focus on the consequences of a threat and its impact on the network.
The volume of security events which need to be analysed is increasing, and the personnel to deal with the decision-making process is never going to be sufficient to handle them all manually. There has never been a more critical time for implementing machine-based learning approaches to security and automating the management of threats. Both Forrester and Gartner have been especially vocal on these points, and our technology platform has been optimized to meet these challenges head-on. The dynamic nature of threats and the rate at which they appear means that choosing to take a reactive stance is not an option. By automating elements of security incident management, and optionally including the responses to threats, key personnel can focus on high-value activity such as threat hunting and improving vulnerability management, which leads to decreased time at risk.
Huntsman Analyst Portal industrializes threat management, preemptively collecting and reliably linking contextual information to threats, all in near real time using repeatable, robust processes. The explosive growth of security events from internal systems and the cloud means that analysts are overwhelmed. Huntsman Analyst Portal streamlines SOC operations to focus on rapid decisions and actions, moving the time at risk closer to zero. Contact us today to find out how you can automate away the pain of threat verification, save valuable analyst time, and focus on the things that matter using Huntsman Analyst Portal.